Hello Mallards, it's Saturday and this video will be full of spoilers. We just finished the second half of The Woman in the House Across the Street from the Girl in the Window, the Netflix series starring Kristen Bell, and this show just got more absurd. So we'd enjoyed the comedy elements, especially the drawn out monologues, or I guess voiceovers is what I would say instead of monologues, the drawn out voiceovers. And I will say that my one true gripe with this whole show is that it didn't end with another really strange, drawn-out voiceover. I needed that to wrap it up, and it didn't do that, and I was sad about it. It did, however, have some really funny bits. Just a lot of the over-the-top. I feel like the second half leaned a bit more into the comedy elements and the absurdity of it, and I appreciated that about this show. Like, the twists and turns just kept coming, and you were never sure how it was going to work out. And spoiler alert, the main character, Kristen Bell's character, Anna, ends up, so at the end of the last episode we watched, she got picked up by the guy she'd been following on Instagram, who was maybe seen the girl she saw get murdered in the house across the street, right? And he is threatening her and whatever, but then it turns out he's like, no, I didn't do it. She and I were partners and we are trying to scam your neighbor across the street, Neil, right? And so then Anna ends up sleeping with this guy. And their entire sex scene montage was just absolutely ridiculous. So it was them in the so they kiss in front of the door and start stripping, and her neighbor sees them kissing in front of the door, and then they shut the door, and then they are naked in the shower, and then it is them having sex on the stairs, and then it's them naked in the shower again, and then it's them having sex on a window seat, and then it's them naked in the shower again, and then it's them having sex on the kitchen counter, and then it's them naked in the shower again. And so it's just an absolutely absurd build up of back and forth between the shower and other places they're doing it, and then a shot of them sleeping in the bed, not having sex in the bed, just sleeping. Unfortunately for Anna, when she wakes up the next morning, the cops show up and they're like, oh, he definitely murdered the girl across the street, so sorry. And she's like, oh no, I slept with a murderer. And then plot twist, he's cleared because he has a solid alibi, but they find her paint. I called it a paint spatula. That's not the real word, and I don't remember what the real word is. But anyway, they find that palette knife. That's what the real word is. They find her palette knife near the dead body because the body is recovered and it was the murder weapon, and it only has her prints on it. And the show is starting to get absurd, and at that point I started making guesses. So they were like, oh no, the murder weapon, and I said, oh yeah, it's totally gonna be her. I said paint spatula, and they were like, you mean palette knife? Lo and behold, I was right. And then I was like, I'm just gonna make absolutely absurd guesses. So she really isn't hearing things in her attic. Somebody is living up there, and it's the guy who fixes the mailboxes. That was true. And then I was like, I think the murderer is the daughter across the street, the little 9-year-old. And I was not being serious when I made this prediction. I was just coming up with something that I thought would be absurd and fun. And I never in a million years thought that it would be the actual correct answer, because in fact, at the end of it all, it is the 9-year-old girl across the street who was the killer. And by the end, so you find out that she murdered her mother and her teacher and Lisa and also her dad, and tried to kill Buell, the handyman. He survived, thank goodness. We like him. And then also tried to kill Anna before Anna managed to fend her off and kill her in the last second. All while Anna's under investigation for murder. This whole thing is going off the rails. She's discovered that Buell lives in her attic. She's discovered that the therapist she was on the phone with is her ex-husband, which We didn't recognize his voice, but like, why didn't she? Great question. We're not sure. And that Buell was hired as the handyman because he was also her husband's first patient who murdered his entire family with a hammer. And the way they deliver all of these, she's like, was there something you didn't tell me about Buell when you hired him? And he goes, where did you find him? Oh, he was my first patient. From where? Well, he was in the psychiatric hospital. He suffered from criminal insanity. Right, what did he do? Murdered his entire family with a claw hammer. And she's like, what? And he's like, yeah. I just didn't want to tell you because I thought that you wouldn't let me hire him if you knew. And she was like, no, I wouldn't have let you hire him. But then, of course, Buell is precious and wonderful. And maybe he did murder his entire family, but he's a little bean that we love very, very much. And it just like, in those last 4 episodes went from like this to like, bah, the whole time. And it was fun. And I had a great time. I definitely finished that whole thing having no idea what I'd actually watched. It also ends with a potential lead-in for another season where Kristen Bell's character Anna is on a plane flying to New York. Oh, she got back with her ex-husband because she thought he was with a new woman, but he was really just with a new partner at the FBI. And they got back together and they had a kid. And it's really cute. And she's flying across the country to see her best friend. And a woman sits down next to her. And then Anna gets drunk on vodka and also takes Xanax, because that's smart, and passes out. And when she wakes up, she like goes to the lavatory and sees the woman dead. And then she's like, oh no, I've got to get the flight attendant. And then the flight attendant opens the door and there's no one there. And she's like, no, but it was the woman in 2A. And he was like, no, there was nobody in 2A. So she's going insane again, maybe. I don't know. Then she finds like a little compact and she's like, yes, this is it. And so there could be a whole nother season of this absolute insanity. And I can't decide if I want that or not. Because like part of me is like, yeah, I mean, I'd watch Kristen Bell do whatever Kristen Bell would like to do. And I will be in, and it will be interesting, and it will be fun to watch her. But on the other hand, it's just so absurd and beautifully done in this season that I don't know a second season could hold up. Like, they're not going to have a murdering 9-year-old. I don't know what they're going to do. But it was fun. And if you're looking for a wild romp and you don't mind the fact that I've spoiled the whole gosh darn thing, you should check it out. Maybe I should put a caveat at the beginning that you should watch this before you listen to these spoilers. But if you got this far, sorry, you've been spoiled. But it's really fun. It's absolutely absurd. They really poke a lot of fun at that genre of book/show, and I had a delightful ride for all 8 episodes. And I will see you tomorrow.